friends, welcome to Life's a Beachum. I'm Amber.
I'm Louisa, and she has flowers in her hair.
She has fuzz in her hair. What is she?
No, flowers.
Oh, flowers in her hair. She does have flowers in her hair.
No, they're fuzzy flowers.
They're fuzzy flowers. Okay, that makes sense.
And
what is she?
She's a bunny.
She's a bunny.
Hop, hop,
oh, and she
hop.
hops. So this weekend, we're going to be having a family dinner, and my sister and I were on the phone, and she said, Amber, I want deviled eggs. And so I'm like, for sure, I can do that. And as I was thinking about it, all of these ideas for different types of deviled eggs popped into my head. So today, we're going to be preparing 3 different types of deviled eggs. Number 1 is just the good old classic. You have to have the regular old deviled egg because they're just the best things on earth. And then I'm making bacon jalapeno. That sounds delicious, a little spicy, and I think it's gonna be so good. And then we're gonna do salmon with dill and capers. So it's gonna be like a fancy one. So we're gonna do the 3. We got the good old classic, and then we've got the spicy, and then the bougie one. So I'm pretty excited about it, and I will give you all of the recipes, and let's get after it because we got a lot of stuff to do. But I do wanna make homemade mayo. I usually buy avocado mayo, and it's fine. It works great, but honestly, the flavor sometimes is just not my favorite. Now, when I make mayo, I still do it with avocado oil, but there's something about the store-bought avocado oil mayo that just has a stronger, pungent flavor, and I don't want that pungent flavor to come out. So first things first, we're gonna make some mayonnaise so I can get it chilling in the fridge, and then we're gonna get into boiling the eggs and starting to prepare all of the eggs. I'm not going to complete them and put them together until we get to my sister's on Sunday. I'm gonna have them ready though in the individual bags. My plan is that I'm going to pre-prepare them. Today is Friday, so I'm going to get the mayonnaise ready. I'm gonna boil the eggs. I'm going to peel them. I'm gonna cut them and separate the yolks. And I think potentially, I'm also going to go ahead and just make the filling. And then Sunday afternoon, we're going to my sister's, and I'm going to have each of the 3 different fillings in a bag already ready to go. And that way I can just pipe everything in when I get to her house and then finish with any of the garnishes. So I'm gonna do that today and prep as much as I can today. That gives me a little bit of spillover tomorrow in case I don't get everything completely done. I'll be able to finish it Saturday, tomorrow, and then we'll put it together Sunday at her house. And then we're all going to eat them and they're gonna be gone and they're going to be delicious. So first things first, I'm gonna start getting some stuff out to get the mayonnaise rocking and rolling. Like I said, I usually buy avocado oil mayo, but the flavor can be a little bit pungent and I really want more of a mild mayonnaise flavor. So I'm gonna make my own, and I am still gonna make it with avocado oil because it's a very neutral flavored oil. If you use olive oil, it can be pretty strong and pungent. Now, if you like the flavor of olive oil, great. But if you're trying to use it with something else, sometimes it's just a little overbearing. So a lot of people will choose to use light olive oil or avocado oil, or people will use some sort of vegetable oil. We don't really use vegetable oils in our home, so I'm gonna stick to avocado oil. Mayonnaise is very, very easy to make. I used to be really intimidated by it. Then one of my friends out in New York City showed me how to make it, and I realized it was super simple, and I've been making it homemade pretty much ever since. I have, especially since having the baby, I have just bought regular store-bought kind, the avocado oil, but honestly, the taste from homemade mayonnaise is just so wonderful. It's delicious, and I think that you'll really enjoy it. And if you're intimidated by it, there's no need to be. Plus, when you make your own mayonnaise, I don't know, it just feels a little fancy. I remember the first time I made it, I was like, I am a real, like, pioneer woman. Like, this is the real deal. Like, man first creating fire. It was like, I'm making mayonnaise. So anyways, I want to show you how to do it. It's super simple, and I use an immersion blender, and you're going to need some sort of container that the immersion blender can fit into. So for me, I do canning, and I'm always got the good old mason jars around. Plus, when I go to put it in the fridge, I'm able to just put a lid on it, and it's easy peasy. So you're going to want 1 egg, 1 cup of oil, whatever kind you're using. Like I said, I'm going to use avocado oil. We're gonna do a tablespoon of lemon juice, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and then about a half a teaspoon, quarter teaspoon, or just like a good pinch is usually what I use, of salt. And that is literally it. Now, you can mix it up. You can do all kinds of things with it. It's really delicious if you also put in a crushed garlic clove with it, just a little bit, like a smaller garlic clove in with that. It is ridiculous. So that's one of my very favorite things to do. But because I'm making the deviled eggs, I don't want too garlic of a flavor. So I'm going to leave that out to make the mayonnaise a little bit more neutral so I can focus on, when I do the yolk mixture, making that where the flavor is predominantly. Let's get an egg. Now I'm making a triple batch, so I'm not going to put in an egg. I'm going to put in 3 eggs. And honestly, I've never made this big of a batch before. So I'm going to cross my fingers that this will work just as the 1 egg. Because then I'm going to do 3 cups, which I realize I grabbed one of these that doesn't have the measuring on the side, but that's okay. I have a measuring cup right here. If you hear crazy noises beside me, it's because my dog is trying to get in and she jumps so high. She's not a Jack Russell Terrier. However, one would think that she is because she is wild at the jumping. Okay, so there's cup number 2. And don't fear, I bought a new one. Okay, so now let's get that 3rd cup. I'm gonna do just a little bit under actually, because I don't want it to be too thin. A trick with your lemons is to run your hand over them on the cutting board first, and it really gets them so nice and juicy. Also, if they're still a little bit firm before you do that, you pop in the microwave. Same with your limes. Pop them in the microwave for like 30 seconds and then do that, and it's literally so juicy. But these ones were really ripe, so I didn't need to put it in the microwave first. Let me put it in this cup. I'm gonna put it in this cup. Actually, just squeeze out all of the lemon juice first.
Can I have some lemon?
Mm-hmm. You can have this one. Watch out for the seeds. Oops, there's a whole bunch here. Let me just get them out. There you go. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see if we need any more lemon juice or if that's enough. 1, 2, 3. I think that's pretty good. I might try to get just a little bit more juice out of this one, if I can. Just to get a little bit more. Okay, there's that. And then I'm gonna eyeball this with the Dijon. Okay. And a good pinch of salt since this is a big container.
Can I put some?
Sure. Thank you. Good job.
I need it. I want more.
Did it need a little bit more? Okay, so now I'm just gonna set the immersion blender on the bottom where the eggs are. I'm not going to move it. I'm just gonna turn it on and I'm gonna wait for 15 seconds and then I'm gonna start to emulsify it. Looking past the poorly placed Dijon mustard here, you can see though, as soon as I turn on the immersion blender, the very bottom here starts to look like mayonnaise and turn white. Once I've given it about 15 seconds, I'm just gonna start slowly pulling my blender up gradually, emulsifying all of the rest of the oil in. And we make different variations of this. My favorite is my husband's recipe. He adds pickled jalapeno juice instead of the lemon, and then he adds real bacon bits and the pickled jalapeno chunks to it. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. We put it on burgers, salads, it's insane. But this mayo that I just made, out of the many times I've made it, this is hands down the best. It was so thick and silky, absolutely wonderful. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna just blend it a little bit longer to make sure all the oil is blended in. Okay, seriously? Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now I have a whole container of mayonnaise. Homemade, delicious, thick, beautiful mayonnaise.
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 Right?
Of course you can. Let me get you a spoon. Hold on. Okay, so the mayonnaise is made. It is beautiful and thick. I mean, look at that. That's awesome. Okay, what do you think?
No,
It's so good, huh?
so good.
Delicious.
We love it.
We love it. Okay, mayonnaise is done. I'm gonna put a lid on this, and then I'm gonna put a lid on this, and then I'm gonna put it in the fridge, so that way it can stay nice and cold until we're ready for it. Okay, so I'm gonna be making 3 dozen eggs. So I have 36 eggs right here, ready to go. I'm obviously not gonna be able to boil them all at the same time. That's just too many. But I'm gonna try something today that I've never tried before. It might be a great success. It might be a complete failure, but you're with me and that's all that matters. I tried putting in, I have this pot that has one of these like built-in colanders that you can bring out, right? I think I'm going to try to boil the eggs in that. That way I can just pull it up, let the water keep boiling, dump those eggs into the ice bath, come back and pop in some more eggs right away. I think that's gonna be my strategy instead of having to ladle out each of them. So I'm gonna see how this works, but here's how I like to boil my eggs. I like to get my water completely boiling first. I'm gonna put in a dozen at a time, and I'm gonna set my timer for 12 minutes. Now, some people might want them all the way up to 14 minutes. I get really nervous. I don't like them overcooked. I actually prefer my eggs when it's in a like boiled state. I actually prefer them to be about a 7.5 minute egg. I really like them jammy, but obviously for deviled eggs, that's not really an option. So I'm gonna go up to 12 and I'm gonna see how that works. I don't wanna overdo them. So 12 minutes and then take them out right away and put them in an ice bath. That's the best way to do it. It stops the cooking process and it really helps you peel the shell later on. Okay, so now I'm just gonna load this up now that the water is to a nice rolling boil, and I'm gonna get a dozen eggs in there right away. 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna slowly drop these into the water. I'm hoping that they don't crack, but I did not let these get to room temperature. So that's a pretty big temperature difference, and there is a chance that you'll crack open an egg, which isn't the end of the world. It just means that the water gets all kind of gunky. 5, 6, so slowly. All right, looking good. Setting that timer for 12 minutes.
And
Good.
let me do this.
Don't get in my way.
Nicey. Are they hot? They always open. They're tricky. I can't. I won't do it.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna see you do it, but I'm gonna need my tool to do it. Okay.
No, you can help me after. We have a lot of eggs to crack, so I'm for sure gonna need your help. Okay, 12 minutes. Back on the timer. Let's go. Okay, so I did break one. In my last batch, I heard pop and one of the eggs broke. So it just gets a little bit of the egg white everywhere. It's fine to eat still. It's just not gonna make a very pretty deviled egg. So that's okay. I added one more extra egg in so that way I have the right amount of perfectly cooked, nice eggs. Okay, I'm gonna set down a towel, a dish towel here, and I have a colander. I'm going to go ahead and we're gonna start peeling all of these eggs. We're gonna put the whole eggs in here, and this is just gonna let any excess water drain out, so that way I don't have too big of a soupy mess in the bottom of a bowl. So we're gonna put them in here, and then we'll move on to our next step after that.
I think I'm not going to do it.
You're not going to?
Because they crack my... Because they open well.
Yep, they're way good, way easy. These, I just wanted to show you how easily these peel. Like little to no effort. How awesome is that? To get a good peel, an ice water bath is just so important. Ever since I've started doing this, I seldom struggle to get the peel off cleanly. So you might have a stubborn egg here and there, but all in all, it's literally like magic. This is the egg that cracked as I was putting it in the pot. And you can see here, there's like a big hole where all of the air all of the air came into it. A lot of the egg white was pushed out into the boiling water. So there's a big hole. So I'm gonna peel this, but I'm gonna set it aside and we'll just eat it as a snack. I love to include our daughter as much as possible in the kitchen. Before she could stand, I would put her in one of those little seats up on the counter next to me. And then basically, as soon as she could stand on her own, we got her this cute little kitchen tower on Amazon, and she's been helping me ever since. I don't think they have the exact one any longer, but I can link something similar below for you. But her helping started with quite simple tasks, but she's always loved being my little helper, and I've always tried to incorporate her into as much around the house as possible. She helps with laundry, other cleaning tasks, and always in the kitchen with me. She could help with little things like handing me Brussels sprouts out of the package so I could prepare them, or help me toss veggies into the water to wash. Simple tasks that got her feeling like she was helping. Having little ones help along the way does require some patience and understanding that it's just going to take twice as long or more to complete the tasks, but the excitement and confidence that they gain from being a contributor is really so special. And now she helps me peel the boiled eggs, sets the dinner table, stirs food on the stove with my direct supervision, of course, and mixes the eggs for the scrambled eggs, on and on and on. She really is a helper around the house, and she loves being and contributing to the family, and it's so cute to watch. Thank you. Are you helping Mama wash the herbs? Go ahead, put them in the water. It's their bath. Thank you. Good job. Yeah, very helpful. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And now she's still Mommy's helper and absolutely loves it. I'm just gonna half all of these, and when I half them, I'm going to take the yolk and I'm gonna pop this open a little bit and just use my finger and set it out like that. Pop it out. Thank you, my dear. I want to get as much of the yolk that I can into the bowl, and then also
It's not a bowl.
Or the measuring bowl. Two of my eggs didn't come out really great. One of them was the one I said earlier that popped as soon as I put it in the hot water, so it's a bit disformed. And then the other one, I only had one out of 36 eggs. I only had one that the white got all kind of mangled as I was peeling it. Everything else, it came out super easy. One of them was a little bit stubborn. So I'm actually gonna take these two eggs, the whole eggs, and I'm gonna add it to the yolk. I saw this trick done by Paula Dean in one of her videos, and she does it to help bulk up the mixture so that way you always know that you have more than enough filling when you're actually piping them into your eggs. So I'm just gonna keep working on getting through this whole pile and getting these eggs cut in half and de-yolked.
You do like that?
I just cut it in half, and then I take that and I pop it out like this. See how easy it comes out? Pop. Pop.
This way right here? Is that this way?
Right.
Oh.
Like that. Pretty cool?
That's pretty cool, doing it like this.
And the yolk comes out so nice. Also, you'll notice that my yolks are very, very yellow. There's no brown or green around the outside of the egg yolk. And that is because I didn't overcook them. So if you find that your egg yolks end up having that ring around it, that means you've cooked them too long. That's why I did 12 minutes. A lot of recipes say 14 minutes, but that just makes me nervous. That feels like it's just really cutting it. My yolks are perfect. They're beautiful and bright yellow. Well, this took forever, but it was well worth it. After slicing them, you just gently pull on either side of the white to loosen up the yolk, and it should pop right out. A couple of them I did have to kind of pick out the yolk as it broke apart, but you can either pick it out or just scoop it with a spoon. Once I finished this, I stacked all of the whites together in a bowl so that way I could pop them in the fridge. I knew I wasn't going to be assembling them right away and it would be a couple of days later, so I wanted to store them as easily as possible that wouldn't risk too much breaking. I did end up with 2 halves there that split in the process, but out of 3 dozen with only 1 whole egg that wasn't usable, I'd say that was a pretty big win. Since all 3 styles of eggs have the same base, I decided to go ahead and just prep that first. Then I can separate them out and jazz up each individual style, but at least this would help me have a consistent base for the deviled eggs. You can definitely just use a fork to mash the yolks and mix everything in if you prefer a more rustic look and texture, but I was going for a little bit more elevated look and I wanted the yolk mixtures as creamy and smooth as possible, so I started them off in the food processor. This was actually my first time doing this style and I loved it, and I will definitely be doing it this way again. I also added about 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise and about 2 to 3 teaspoons of yellow mustard to the yolks. I didn't want to overdo it as I did want to be able to adjust as necessary once I was making the individual styles of the eggs. So I'm going to chop all of the components as small as I can get them so that there isn't too much chunk in the deviled egg. I want to really preserve as much of this smooth texture as I possibly can. For the smoked salmon, I'm finally dicing about 4 tablespoons total worth of the smoked salmon, which is the smoked salmon that I got at Costco. It was 3 of the thin slices worth, I believe. So I'm going to also finely chop some dill. Dill is one of those herbs that to me you have to be so careful with. I think the flavor is really nice when there's a good hint of it, but it can easily become super overpowering. As I mentioned, I'm making 3 different styles, and with the classic, I'm just going to be going with the dill pickle. It's very popular to use sweet pickles or sweet relish, but honestly, I just hate sweet pickles and relish. The flavor is totally gross to me, and since I'm the one that's making them, we're going to do it my way with the dill. Nonetheless, that is a very popular style, and if you like it, make it that way. It would be the same general steps. You're just going to sub out dill for the sweet, whether it's the relish or the pickles. When it comes to the bacon, I decided to go ahead and cook it fresh. I initially was going to use the pre-cooked bacon bits that Costco has. They have that real bacon one. But though it works really great on a salad or something else in a pinch, they are a bit chewier than I wanted, and I thought fresh would be a better texture overall. So I chopped the bacon, the jalapeños, and the dill pickles super small as well. And feel free to mix it up. Use any kind of ingredient that you'd like. I think this really does lend to a very wide range of different options. That's right.
Eggs and mayonnaise, mustard, and pepper, salt, and that's all.
Once I relocated the blended yolks into a bowl, I did my best to get 3 even portions, though I knew the first portion was going to end up a little bit smaller than the other 2, which was okay because I was making this the classic one, and I figured though they are the beloved of the deviled eggs, the other 2 would be the real crowd pleasers, so I did want to make sure that there was more than enough mixture for them. For the classic, I added the pickles and a little more than a tablespoon of pickle juice. It's hard for me to use measurements. I honestly just measure with my heart and my taste buds. Tasting as you go is seriously so important. The trick is to just add a little at a time. You can always add more, but you can't take it away. I also added another bit of mayo, mustard, and some fresh cracked pepper and some salt. If you like it more creamy, focus on the mayo. If you like the bite of the vinegar, then add some more pickle juice. It's all about your preference. Once it tasted just right, I put the mixture into a gallon baggie like I was making frosting so that I could pipe them into the whites when I was ready. Make sure to get as much of the air out as possible so the yolk doesn't get crusty or dried out. This was honestly the smartest thing, and you'll see shortly it makes it so easy to assemble. Oh, the smoked salmon. This was seriously an ingenious idea. It was so delicious. I added about 4 tablespoons of the chopped smoked salmon and 2 teaspoons of the fresh dill. I didn't have capers, so I did end up using a little bit, about a tablespoon of the pickle juice, but had I had capers, I would have used the brine instead. I also added about 1 to 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard to help give it a little added zing, as well as a little bit more mayo. Again, it's all about your personal preference. I seldom follow a recipe, and if I do use it, I would say I more use it as a guide. Most often, if I go on, I'll go and look up a few different recipes on the same general meal, and then I just totally wing it. I feel like it helps point me in the right direction, but then I'm able to just create and customize and do whatever sounds the best and most delicious for me. Ooh, friends, the bacon jalapeno. I honestly almost don't have words for this. It was so mind-blowing good. It was definitely the crowd favorite, though all of the eggs I made were completely gone by the end of the night. With these, I just added the bacon, and instead of the pickle juice, I used the jalapeno juice to give it a bit of spice, but you're still getting that good vinegar zing added to help cut the creaminess of the mayonnaise and the egg yolk. I added the chopped jalapenos as well as some Dijon and a little bit of extra mayo. We did have kids at the dinner, so I didn't want to go over the top with all of the spice, but they mostly didn't even eat these one anyhow. So next time, I think I'm going to kick it up a notch. We're a big fan of spice in our home, so though the flavor was on point, I think a little bit more burn would have been really nice. Here I'm just prepping and bagging up the garnishes. For the bacon jalapeno, I decided to add a thinly sliced serrano pepper to each of the deviled eggs. Initially, I was going to do a fresh jalapeno, but they are just so much larger in diameter. The serrano was a great option, and it also gave that little extra kick that they really needed. I also finally chopped up some chives for the classic and pulled off some little tiny sprigs of dill for the smoked salmon eggs. The process of getting all that dill sprigs, gosh, it took quite a while, but the final product looks so beautiful. And garnish is just something that I really love. I think it elevates a meal so much. We eat with our eyes first, so adding some green or whatever garnish you're using, it just brings everything to life. I also cut up some bacon for garnish, about 1 inch long. Some pieces were either too fatty or they just didn't look nice and straight and clean, so I set those aside to toss into some scrambled eggs later. I also snuck a few bites while we were going along prepping. You know, you have to. Once we got to my sister's, I assembled the eggs. They traveled wonderfully. Because of how I prepared them and stored them, I was able to keep them chilled in a cooler while we were at church. I pushed the yolk down into the corner of the baggie and twisted right above the yolk like it was a frosting, and then I cut the tip and began piping them into the whites. This actually worked so well, and it was pretty quick to pull together. Then I topped the bacon jalapeno with the little slice of bacon and then added the little slice of serrano, and I only added that to half the egg so that way people had a choice. But I will say the ones with the serrano went so fast that I ended up adding more sliced peppers to the rest. For the smoked salmon, I added a sprig of dill, and it was great. Though I really was missing the capers. I think next time I might do a thin slice of red onion and a caper in addition to the dill for garnish, just to kind of give it a New York bagel and lox type of flavor. But honestly, even without it, they were absolutely divine. And then the classic deviled eggs, I added some chopped chives, and then, of course, the mandatory sprinkle of paprika. All in all, these were an absolute crowd pleaser, and they were really super simple. It was a fun and creative way to elevate something so deliciously classic. Which one do you think would be your favorite? Or do you have another flavor combo option? Let me know in the comments below. I'll post the recipes in the description box, so make sure to check it out. Thank you so much for hanging with me today. I really do appreciate you stopping by my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified whenever there's a new video posted. Check out my Instagram and Facebook at Life's a Beachum. Thanks again and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.